Good afternoon, Paul.
Hi.
It was a great pleasure to bump into you just now downstairs, which just goes to show what an amazing place the National Honey Show is. We met, when I say here, the National Honey Show wasn't actually here at the time, but we met at the National Honey Show several years ago now, when you brought a delegation over from Rodrigues and you had a stand in the trade hall.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do.
Yes. And I believe you were showcasing what beekeeping could do in Rodrigues to help disabled people so that they could earn a living doing something useful and take advantage of the flora and fauna around them.
Yeah.
So what brings you here this year?
Well, we hope to compete this year, but unfortunately our honey came late in the season, so I wasn't able to bottle any honey to bring to the honey show this year. But we've been beekeeping in Rodrigues, which is one of the outer islands of the Mauritian Republic. And I moved from Mauritius to Rodrigues in 1989 and set up a program for people with disabilities to find some activity for them that would help them to get a normal life and be able to earn some money and learn things which there was on Rodrigues. There was nothing of that kind in the past ever. So it was something completely new. And one program that had been set up by the government to encourage beekeeping on Rodrigues had not been going too well. And so one of the officials in Rodrigues asked me if we would be interested, perhaps to get interested in beekeeping for people with disabilities. The thinking mainly of bottling, but after we had contact with the National Honey Show through Michael Duggan, who was one of the members here,
He's actually here today.
Yes, he came out to Rodrigues and set us up going, and he advised us not just to do the bottling, but also do the beekeeping. So we had to set up an apiary to start off, which he started off. He gave us a plan, and he said, if you keep to this plan this year, I'll come back next year. If you kept to the plan, I'll come back and help you again. We kept strictly to his plan, and he was very pleased with that, and so were we, because things went very well. He brought some honey from Rodrigues, a sample back, and he put it in the honey show, and it won a first prize. And from that, we never looked back.
Had you already been a beekeeper when you started off?
No, I knew nothing about beekeeping. So Michael Duggan was our first introduction to that. And of course, for people with disabilities, they think that there's lots of things they can't do. But in fact, for a person who has a physical disability, there are all sorts of things that they can do with beekeeping. Sometimes the whole family became involved. So the person who was who had a disability was some sort of burden to the family, then became the person who was earning money for the family. So the family was very pleased with that. We found very great success with people with deafness. They were able to do beekeeping. In fact, we covered more or less the whole spectrum of disabilities. We found something that each of them could do in the process of beekeeping, and then the bottling, and then the selling of the honey. So it has been a landmark activity in our work in Rodrigues, and we've had praise from the highest echelons of government for the work that we do in Rodrigues, which is a great honour to us.
Brilliant. Tell us something about Rodrigues. How big is it, and what's the population?
Yes, Rodrigues is about 300 miles to the east of Mauritius. It's a small island, volcanic, 8 miles long, 3 miles wide, so it's quite small, but very mountainous, very hilly. The remarkable feature is the lagoon. The island itself is surrounded by a tropical lagoon, which goes out about 5 kilometers from the coast to the reef out. So there's a huge area of sea, which encourages people to come and do sea sports, sailing and that sort of thing in the lagoon, very calm. And of course, the tropical island is very hot, and sunshine more or less all the year round, except when we get cyclones. But that affects our beekeeping as well. But it's the tourist industry in Rodrigues, mainly people from Mauritius and from Reunion Island, some from France, and we have a few from Switzerland and other European countries. Not many from the UK.
I can't say that I've ever heard anybody say they go to the Maldives, but I've not heard many go to Rodrigues.
Go to Rodrigues. Well, Rodrigues is in the Commonwealth. It's part of the Republic of Mauritius, and we have a presence there from the British High Commission in Mauritius, who helped us a lot in our work back.
And they in fact came and visited, didn't they? At the
They
National
do,
Honey Show
yes.
1 year.
The
Yes.
High Commissioner came and was very impressed with what we were doing, so we had equipment donated to us from the British High Commission, which we're very grateful, still using.
Excellent. Well, we're glad to hear that all this work is continuing. And so you mentioned that your honey yield wasn't that brilliant this year. How much does it vary from year to year, and what does that depend on?
Well, honey beekeeping is a natural activity entrenched in nature. So as nature changes, so our activity changes as well, and the activity of the bees. We had a period when we were struggling really to get enough honey. Other thing that happened is that because of our success, everybody else wanted to do beekeeping, and the government was promoting a scheme called A Hive in Every Home, with too much.
Yes.
But of course, when people without much knowledge think that they can do beekeeping anyway, eventually they fail, and then they give up and they get less. So the other thing is that the government of Mauritius and the authorities in Rodrigues are encouraging the planting of indigenous plants rather than plants that have come in which are non-indigenous. And the non-indigenous ones are the ones which really the bees go for. So we have a problem there.
Yes.
But we're overcoming it. We're having to find ways of persuading the government that it's not entirely detrimental to the island to have some imported plants and trees as well as those which are natural, because there's room for everything.
So, being 300 miles from anywhere, your bee population is fairly isolated.
Yes.
Does that mean that you don't have some of the disease problems that we have?
We had no bee diseases on Rodrigues up to now. The original local bee population, who knows where it came from, but it was added to by importation of Italian queens from Australia, and I think they brought in about just 5 or 6 queens some time ago, and they've adapted with the local population of bees, and they are fortunately very docile. We don't really need to wear a lot of protective equipment and clothing when we're handling the bees, and they're very productive as well. So I think that type of aspect of the beekeeping is very, very helpful to anybody who wants to beekeep, so that they have a docile population.
That sounds excellent. And how do you reproduce the colonies? Do you let them swarm naturally and encourage them to take up residence in vacant hives, or do you actively queen rear?
We do a bit of everything, as much as we can, with the local authorities, because the beekeeping activities are quite well monitored by the Agricultural Commission of the Rodrigues Regional Government. So we can get help from them and advice about that. But we do depend on visiting beekeepers. We have a French beekeeper working with us now, and he uses all methods. He does transfers, and he does queen raising as well. So we do a bit of everything. But whatever we can do to increase the bee population, we'll do.
Yes. Well, I think you'll be the envy of a lot of people because of your close population and
yes,
lack of proximity to all sorts of the dangers that are out there. But
yes, we're isolated.
yes, but
It is an advantage.
crept into this country, and there's others waiting on the wings. Yes. Well, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure to talk to you. Pleasure to meet you again.
Thank you for
And I
having me.
hope that you'll have honey for us next year.
Yes.
And of course, there's always a place in the trade hall if you want to come and exhibit what you're doing.
Thank you very much. Thanks to the National Honey Show for all the help we've received from them. Thank you.